So yes, thank you everybody for being here. And I just invite you to really just check in with your body, take a couple of deep breaths, drop out of your head and into your body, and just to start noticing what you're noticing in response to the sound of my voice, being here with other people, virtually, people we know, people we don't know, and obviously the art that we're going to be bearing witness to today. So thank you for giving up your time to be here. I can't tell you how much it means to me. This is the most amazing thing that I do. I love it so much. I mean, I'm a photographer as well. I do really meaningful work. This is the icing on the cake for me. So I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited that you're here with me. So thank you very much indeed. And hello and welcome to my lovely panel, who I also like to thank very much as well. They are here through the love of doing this. They're not getting paid, so they're all giving up their time, bless them. And I appreciate you all very much. So we're just going to do quick intros, quick panel intros, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of background of why I do this, and then we're going to start feeling the images. We've got 3 images, hopefully we're going to look at today. So Nanette, do you want to kick off?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm from Maine, USA. I split my time between the coast of Maine and the Canadian border of Maine. And I'm a portrait photographer, and I primarily work with women over 50. Just finished a really big project photographing 35 women over 50, did a big gallery show, and it was wonderful. And looking forward to new things with women over 50 in the new year. And
Thank
so
you.
happy to be here. This is my second time around with Catherine in the Felt Gallery. And boy, both times it's just really, really gets me.
Amazing. Nanette is my panelist in residence. Thank you, Nanette. Hannah.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah. I'm from London and I'm based in London, and I'm a menswear designer, and I'm currently doing a master's in menswear at Westminster. Yeah.
Thank you. Lovely. Thank you. Simon.
Hello, I'm Simon. I'm also in London. I'm also a designer, but for women. But I'm also now working in the textile art field and exploring a whole new world and loving it. And all I can say is that every time I've worked with Catherine, which has been many times, I just leave that whole experience feeling well, refreshed, renewed. You have an amazing quality about you, Catherine, which I'm looking forward to this evening being recharged.
Bless your heart. Thank you, Simon. Bless you.
We are
Leonie.
being paid, aren't we?
I'll take you out for a beer. Excellent. Leonie.
Hello, everybody. My name is Leonie Wright. I run a company which is called Eat Right, in which I stop women from going on diets, and instead I help them to make long-lasting changes in their life so they can be happier and healthier. It's the first time I've been on a panel. I have known Catherine for a while, but I'm really intrigued what's going to happen. So yeah, let's see.
Wonderful. Thanks, Leonie and Mira.
Hi everyone, my name is Mira Bogle, and I am delighted to be here. As Simon said, for me, every time I do anything with Catherine, I leave feeling lighter, and it's just like therapy for me. It's fantastic. So thank you, Catherine, for inviting me. I am the owner of a business called Mira's Made from Scratch, where we cook, we make and create. I'm very creative in the kitchen and with food. I love making things with food, but we specifically work with whole foods and working with kind of natural products. And I'm also a menopause campaigner or expert, raising awareness of menopause as well. So that's me.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mira. Thank you, everybody. So just a quick, sorry, just letting someone in. Just a quick, just an overview of why I do this. So I've been a photographer for 14 years. I have entered competitions and open calls and stuff like that before. I've always found the process really excruciating. And I thought it was just me. And I got frustrated with feeling that being judged that always used to sit really uncomfortably with me. I always took it really personally, my poor ego. But I found the whole process quite excruciating, because I didn't feel that art should be judged. Art is always, our response to art is entirely subjective. It doesn't matter how much knowledge or experience we have. We all have a subjective reaction to art. We all react to whatever we're seeing with the lens that we're wearing at the time, and some images stay with us and some images don't, and I wanted to create something that just took all of that and put it in one place and removed all the judgment and all the critique and all the technical stuff, and this image is not good because it doesn't obey the rule of thirds, and you can just imagine a group of people who sat around a table and made all those things up. And obviously in my book, rules are made to be broken. You can't get art wrong. So I just thought, am I the only one who feels like this? And I created Felt Photographic earlier this year with my first open call, Lost for Words. And I just did it to see what would happen and to see if people resonated with the idea. And it went really well. It was a really interesting process. I hadn't done it before, obviously. Everything I did was from the felt sense. So when I was creating it and when I was thinking about how I was going to do it, I mean, I made it up as I went along. Kind of sounds a bit flippant, but it was really that, because I really wanted to notice what I was feeling in the moment, and the next step I felt, and I just felt it and felt it and felt it. I had the construct of an open call, obviously, but the way in which I did it was entirely the felt process, and the feedback from artists was amazing. The panelists seemed to have a good time, and I loved it, and it was amazing. And so I've done it again in the autumn now, and I had a 65% uplift in submissions. So, and the feedback has been astonishing from artists. So I'm really excited about where this might be going. I'm really excited that you guys are on the journey with me on this, and I'm planning my third open call in the spring, so please watch out for that. So yeah, that's basically, I'll shut up now. We're going to talk about the beautiful art, but that's basically the background. If you've got any questions, please bung them in the chat. I will try and get to them when I can throughout this session today. But we're going to start off with, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to hopefully look at 3 images today. The first one we are looking at is from an artist called Daniel. Share screen. Oh, hang on a minute. I knew I'd get this wrong. I did have it all set up. There we go. Right, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. So what we're going to do is we're going to I'm going to bring up the first image, and then we are going to I'm just going to invite the panel to respond. So I'm just going to kick it off with a Nanette responding to this first image, because this was her choice, and then if the other panelists can just, when Nanette's finished, just jump in if you're responding, if you're having a response. If not, then don't worry, and we'll move on to the next image. But so Nanette, do you want to kick off?
Sure. There was no, this was really the absolute top image for me. And I mean, I think I came to the decision of this one in what I think 5 minutes or less at looking at all the images. And this one is really powerful for me. And it really incorporates so many things. It feels to me like I'm looking actually down at my own body. I've had breast cancer, and when I look at this image, it looks to me like I'm looking down at my breast and my stomach and the top of my black leggings. And I mean, there's nothing that could get more personal to me than feeling like I'm looking at an image that's looking at my own body. and the moisture on the skin is anxiety for me. That's what it represents. Part of it is from probably not being super happy with my body at the moment, but also having breast cancer and not having my breast look like a normal breast. And so this just goes right to the core of everything about me, but also, if I can share, Catherine had a really good response to another thing I said about this image, was that one of the interesting things for me is that I photograph women over 50, and they are all shapes and sizes. And I truly, honestly, with every piece of my being, look at all of them, whether they're clothed or naked or whatever, as just the most beautiful beings and bodies and people and spirits. And the ability to be able to look at that in other people, but then have such a strong reaction to this image, which I know is a strong reaction to my own body. So in some way, this image reflects not just me personally, but also my work.
Amazing. Thank you, Nanette. Do any other panelists like to respond to this image?
Can I go?
Yes, please.
And I apologize, everyone, if my etiquette on Zoom is not great. I'm not very good on all this stuff, so bear with me. But to hear what Nanette's just said makes that image to me even more powerful, just extraordinary, because that was one of my original images, and I thought it had an immediate effect on me. But to hear that from Nanette has just has blown my mind completely. But I suppose, as you say, that is any art that we look at going through our eyes is talking to us inside, and that's our reaction, I suppose. Or I might not be expressing myself very well.
No,
but
you are absolutely. It's your reaction is a reflection of what this image reflects in you. So yeah.
And the fact that the moisture is anxiety for you is well, because when I looked at it, I thought it looked like strength.
Interesting. In what way?
I don't know if it's I don't know, perseverance, just, and I'm now looking at it, I'm kind of thinking, am I, it's almost, I don't want to say working out, but building up a sweat or anything like that, but it's almost, it's not that, because that almost has a one-dimensional view to it. I think this perseverance and strength is yeah. Sorry, I
No, it's brilliant. Where do you feel it in your body, Simon?
Probably my chest.
And I feel it in my belly. And I think for me, and I don't know if most women feel this way, but for me, my belly is the most vulnerable part of my body, even more vulnerable than the, sexual organs of my body. My belly is even more of a vulnerable spot. And that's where I feel this.
Could I just, is there something around reproduction or like your human instinct around the belly, or is it more external than that?
I think it's all one big lump sum.
Brilliant. Thank you. Any other panelists like to jump in?
I wouldn't mind saying something as well. Sorry, Mira, you go first.
Oh, okay, thank you. I will. I think it's really, Nanette, what you said was so powerful, because again, very much like Simon, when I first looked at that, I work out a lot. I do a lot of strength training. And to me, that looked like it was a positive, it was a real positive thing. It was like, wow, that's kind of sweat in a positive way. I've worked, you know, that kind of working hard, there's sweat on that body, that perseverance, that consistency, very empowering. And then when I was listening to what you were saying, Annette, the emotions completely changed for me, and it just suddenly was like, oh wow, okay, I see the leggings, and I see what you, I don't see exactly what you see, but the legging bit, I could thought, oh yeah, okay. And then I started to piece that together, but it actually, the emotions just changed suddenly from being kind of this real positive experience to suddenly like, oh wow, okay, very much in a very different place inside me. So that was just, and I can't kind of locate quite where, but perhaps in my chest, I'm not quite sure. Whereas before it was kind of everywhere. And then it just went into my chest and into my kind of, well, I suppose into my breast. I don't know whether that sounds silly, but actually it was almost that kind of, where, you know, what you were talking about was kind of being felt. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a powerful image, and to just so interesting that, again, there are those complete contrasts, I think, in a way as well. Thank you for sharing it, though.
Definitely.
Yes.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. What you've
Leonie?
shared.
Leonie, do you want to feedback?
Yeah, it's fascinating for me to first of all listen to Annette's response on this, because I am not associating this at all with a body or sweat or whatever, not at all. What I see here is a potato on the top and the earth under it. So it's completely different, and I feel it in my head, and I'm like, body? Is it a body? And this is, of course, what art is, isn't it? It means different things for different people. And then I'm thinking, maybe I don't see it right, but there's no right and wrong, Catherine, as you said.
Yeah.
It's just how you see it. I see it as the earth with water around it and lakes in it. So I'm looking from the moon, but there's a potato in the way. So it's completely different how you experience it. And I feel a bit rude about saying this, because you said such beautiful things about it. I thought, oh yes, but that's not what I see.
So how does it make you feel, Leonie?
I feel it in my head. In my head, that's what I know. It feels a bit scary for me. This picture, this photo, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Okay, Hannah, do you want to say anything, or should we move on?
I was going to say thank you, Annette, for sharing that. That was amazing to hear, kind of the way that you connect to this image. And that kind of made me realize, I guess there's this kind of intersection between the physical body experience and maybe the more emotional side, and kind of where they cross over. And the fact that the image is so kind of familiar yet unfamiliar at the same time, because there's kind of this kind of slight familiarity of the body, but then it's also kind of zoomed in and kind of distorted. So I think it's kind of, yeah, it's interesting. It kind of
The distortion is really powerful. It's really interesting, I think, because it's so not what you would expect. You're not, you know, you can recognize it in some way as something, but then are we trying to recognize something? What's so interesting about what everyone's saying is that this image is creating a very strong immediate feeling, and we probably wouldn't be able to describe it if we couldn't, you know. Yeah, sorry.
I love what you said there, Simon, because I was just thinking about my reaction to it, and I haven't worked out how I feel about this image yet, and I've looked at it a lot, and I love that point when we get to with art, when we can't put it into words, and that's the whole point why we create art in the first place. But I'm still working out where I feel this in my gut and my chest, but I'm still working out what that means for me and what that's reflecting in me. So this image for me is a slow burner, I think. But I love the point when we get to when we go, actually, I don't have the words anymore. And this
Mhm.
image is really
Mm.
that for me.
Catherine, I wonder too, if we saw this image and we weren't doing the Felt Gallery, if we saw the image just, I don't know, in a magazine or, you know, somewhere, if we would pass it by,
Yeah.
because it wouldn't necessarily maybe be, you know, observed as technically correct or with the distortion, or I don't know, maybe I wouldn't pass it by, but I'm thinking there's a possibility I might have if I wasn't really connecting with things from how they felt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good observation. Really good observation. And actually, I was just reminded about something in our conversation that we had yesterday, Nanette. The question for me about this is I'm not making sense of it. So what perhaps am I avoiding?
Mm,
So
yeah.
I'll sit with that a bit more. Okay, right. We will now move on to Ahmed's shot. Okay. So who would like this? Hannah, this was your image. Would you like to start with your response to this image?
Yes. Yeah, I think this was my top image in the way that I responded to it. I think there was just something about the textures and the kind of the center of the image being the building being right in the middle. You're drawn to it, but then the more you look at it, the more you kind of recognize there's so much more going on, and there's this kind of contrast between harshness and softness. And I like that I don't know where it is, what it is. There's no one in the picture for me to empathize with. Yeah, so it kind of leaves me a bit confused, but you know, wanting to know more. Yeah, I really felt attracted to it.
Can you tell us a bit more about your confusion and that response?
Yeah, I guess it's just there's kind of all these avenues in the picture. I feel like I could kind of go down and explore, not just kind of in the image. In the image, obviously, there's kind of the door and the kind of construction and the kind of over the hill behind, but also in the actuality of the texture and the contrast. Like I just find myself looking for things. The more I look at it, I'm kind of like seeing new things. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Anyone else on the panel like to say something?
I'll say something, Catherine, if you don't mind.
Of course.
This picture for me is an image of war. I see this as being a bunker in the dunes somewhere near Dunkirk or something. It's probably not. I think it's in a sort of Arabic country. And it portrays for me fighting and war and hiding in this big building, which is strong. It's dark inside, I think. I'm not quite sure, but it's a place where you hide from terrible things happening to you.
Okay, that's really interesting. Can you tell us more about the hiding? What does that mean for you?
Not specifically for me. I could see myself hiding there with a lot of other people to protect each other from for example, war or an attack, or like a bunker, really.
So is it a safe space for you?
Yes, definitely a safe space.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel this in my stomach.
Maybe you could connect what you were saying about safe space and me kind of looking for things and seeking things. Would I be seeking a safe space, potentially looking for safety in the image and inside what the construction is? I don't know. I feel like there's a crossover there.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Definitely.
What also irritates me that it's not straight.
Okay, I wonder
I'm
what
like,
that's
why is
reflecting
it
in you.
sideways?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, Nanette and I had a conversation about straight things yesterday, and it's my response to things that aren't straight when I find it frustrating. That for me is like, what am I not happy with inside myself that I can't accept something that's not straight or level or whatever. So that's my question to you, Leonie. Is there something that's reflecting in you? You don't have to answer it now, but I just wonder if it's something perhaps to think about.
It's something we are having building work done at the house at the moment. So yesterday, we've been looking at straight lines in the house. We found there are no straight lines, so it irritates me. It's not straight, but it's a reflection of my personality as well. Yes, yes, definitely,
And maybe your search for perfection.
absolutely.
Okay,
I have to
thank
say, I think straightness is highly overrated.
I'm so glad, Simon. Thank you very much.
But can I
Brilliant.
I found this picture quite frightening.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting to hear you thinking it's somewhere safe to go. To me, it looks like something really, really strong, almost like a country or a regime, maybe. And it's sinking. And it's almost that even the strongest things have got their weakness. And I don't know, maybe it's the world we're living in at the moment, which seems to be all the norms or the status quo that we've lived with for however long are kind of undergoing some kind of almost like an earthquake, it seems to me, and this image really speaks to me on that, but I find it quite frightening.
I agree. For me, it's also frightening. This feels to me like something I might see in a bad dream. The ominous clouds over to the right feel very scary and dooming. And the whole for me feels like a place that I wouldn't want to go, but maybe someone is trying to make me go there in my bad dream. So I don't want to psychoanalyze that right at the moment, but but yeah, this feels it feels ominous to me.
Yeah, that's a really good word.
Yeah,
I think.
Powerful. Yeah.
I think for me it's very alien. It feels, again, powerful, definitely. There's a lot of curiosity for me. I want to know more. And it's interesting, Simon, you said sinking, because I feel like it's rising. So I feel like it's something that's rising out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to me it feels like it's something that's lifting up, and it's like, oh wow, okay, very alien, yet not safe at all. So again, very much on that thing of, okay, well, what's in that's very dark, but also the lighting, it doesn't feel like that's something that's that would be from our planet, that coloring, that white, that kind of, I don't know what it is, the textured stone, I don't know what it's made of. It doesn't feel familiar in any way, like something I could recognize. Yeah, that's very, very, it's very alien. It's almost like, kind of starship stuff, and things have kind of come up from somewhere, or it's just kind of, it's the time for it to rise up from the sand, and it's just there. And yeah, no, ominous, I think, is a fantastic word. I think that's, for me, very much kind of summed it up. I don't think I could have found that word. But yeah, very it's, and definitely not, it's not somewhere, it's not something I would go near, and it's a bit frightening for sure.
Okay, thank you.
It's interesting because it's almost, when you're talking about the texture, it sounds like that's, and I know we're not allowed to use the word negative here, but it sounds like it's it's on that spectrum, that side of the spectrum. For me, in this picture, I'm actually, probably because I'm sort of, I like to feel things and textures, and actually that sounds wrong. Anyway, the whole texture thing is kind of what I do all day. And I'm actually looking in that picture for almost something, whilst it's sinking to me. I'm looking at the texture thinking, yeah, no, this is it's almost like a life raft of positivity, because I can connect with it.
Right.
But that window, that is scary to me. That looks like looking into the soul. Maybe it's my own soul.
Maybe it is, yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to ask the artist to come on in a sec and feedback what it's like to listen to us talk about his image. Before I do, I just want to give my feedback. So initially, this one frightened me, and then I slowly, the more I sat with it, the more intriguing I found it, and it now represents courage for me. If I was going to give it a title, I would call it courage, because although the doorway or the window, whatever, is dark, it's not completely dark. It's a lot of unknown, but I want to go in there. I want to go in there and I want to have a look around, and I want to see what places inside of me I can push and smash through to increase my courage by being brave and going in. So for me, it's got like loads of doorways and corridors and stuff like that. Maybe it's just like some new TARDIS or something. But because it's not a door, it's always open. So there is doesn't feel too scary. But for me, this is all about courage, this shot for me. And it's big and strong, and it feels safe, but it feels challenging as well. Okay, right, I'm going to stop share, and Ahmed, would you like to unmute yourself and tell us how that felt listening to the feedback?
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm really happy to join you today, and a really honor and pleasure to be with Catherine this year. It's my first time, and I'm really enjoyed with actually, I can't say about myself as a photographer, and I'm more visual artist with more interest in new media art. But many times I use photography as part of my practice. Especially, it's a kind of a tool. It's all time is magical for me. How much you have more than your eye, new dimension with the lens. The lens is for me like another dimension for my eyes. I give my eyes something, new layer, can see things in different way. That's how I feel about photography, especially most of my work as new media artist is with equipments and programming, visualizing, like mapping, video game art, and so on. So what's lovely about this photography, it's part of serial photos. I made it as part of a long-term project. I started in 2016 and I finished it in 2018. And it was a cooperation between me and the French Institute in Paris. In that time, I was interested about event happening in Calais. That's a group of refugees came from all over Europe and the world and make a camp there. And this camp was under supervision of UN in that time. And it's become international case, and that's made me curious about it. And I wrote a project proposal and sent it to French Institute to make something about this event and about this area. And I surprised when they accepted the project and give me a studio in Cité des Arts in Paris for 3 months. But they said, you don't have fund. You will make everything by your money. We will give you just this studio. But anyway, I traveled to Calais and meet the refugees in the camp, and I spent 3 days with them. And actually, I take some photography. That's the second part of the project. But in the same time, in my practice as artist, I always try to understand where I am. Okay, I'm in France, close to the sea. This area between Calais and Dunkirk, it's faced a lot of events in World War II. And I'm sure there's something in the history deep around this camp can tell me more stories about the area and why they came here. Until I visited Dunkirk, and I surprised about something I know it from documentary movies. It's Atlantic Wall that built by Nazis to stop allies to came to France or to Europe. And this Atlantic Wall, it's a start from border of Spain, between Spain and France, to Sweden. It's a huge wall built by Rommel, the general. And after the war, by years, Europe didn't try to destroy it, they keep it. And day by day, many artists start to think about it, because why they don't destroy it, why they keep it as it is, the changing that happened with the time, it's give it more layer of stories. The wall that was before part of Nazis regime and something horrible with many bad stories make you afraid and confused about it. But the new layers like graffiti over it, or some artists came to change it and change the nature of it, make it more friendly to the environment. And the banker that's in this photo, it's if you can see, say, make a kind of reproduction for it by a French artist. He covered it by mirrors, as you see. And his concept was about that those mirrors reflect the ocean or the sea view over it and change it with the time. But actually, when I look to it, I make my back to the sea and look to it like a virtual border. Something say to me, you can come and you can save inside. But in the same time, it's make me stop. No, you can't cross the borders. So I found myself in same feeling of the refugees who cross the sea from North Africa or Middle East and try to find a safe land for them, not only fancy land, okay, or dreamland, just safe. They search for safe. They run from wars, from forced immigration, maybe dictatorship. So these bankers, especially this one, it's make me have these confused feeling, like what most of you said. There's confused feeling. It's make me feel I can't be safe inside it, or it's to stop me to cross it. I can't cross it. It's there to stop me after I cross the sea. So that's what made me interested about it. And it was a crazy because it was winter, February, and so cold in Dunkirk. But I cross all the bankers that's still there and take photos for it. And in the end, I made, like I said, I started this project in 2016. And in the end, I finished everything, the production, because there is also a machinima film with the photography. So I take more than 300 photos between the wall and the refugees camp, but in the end, I show just 20. And this one was one of main photos I showed beside the film and the game in the same time. It was a solo show in Cairo in Midrar Art Center. And now I'm honored to show it with Catherine here and
Amazing.
as one. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that backstory, Ahmed. Amazing. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to look at the last image. Which is Kevin's. So Simon, this was your pick.
Yeah.
Tell us your response to this image.
This was so weird because this one was absolutely immediate. And when we were going through, I never knew, Catherine assured me that there was a way, there was a formula of getting all these amazing pictures that I was choosing down to just 5. And this one just couldn't go away. This was, it looks like a film to me. It actually looks like it's moving, which is, it looks like it's growing. In some ways, I don't want to know the magic behind it, but it looks, it's an incredibly positive image. And I love the colorway. I just, everything about it. But what was so moving to me was that when I first saw it, I thought, is this a photograph or is this a film? It was almost like slow motion of the growth. And I just think it's incredibly strong and positive and delicate as well. And every time I looked at it, it was almost like just growing a bit more, saying, no, keep me in your choice. And there's a no-brainer for me.
Nice. I love that. What that's reflecting in you, and perhaps what you could use this image for moving forward, you know, to remind you to keep going and doing what you're doing. Your beautiful art.
I have to say, I've yet to discover somewhere for my art to be treated like this. I think this is such a great idea. I just love the fact that there is no wrong and there is no right about any of it. And what's so, I think, so important is that you've given us space for that in however anybody wants to look at it. It's a very important thing, and I think it's magical. But this is, I will be fascinated to hear the background to it, because I just see it as something very, very beautiful. It's a beautiful picture.
Amazing. Thank you, Simon.
Can I jump in? Is that
please do.
It was one that it really spoke to me, this, when we were going through the choices, and I kept thinking about it actually, and I'm so glad it's in here. For me, it's so delicate, you know, it's so kind of fluid, delicate, really kind of fine, but it's so strong as well. So you get that kind of feeling of there is a lot of movement, but it's just those layers and layers. So there's a lot of depth to it. But right at the center, I love the way that there is, you know, that it's kind of, it's sort of almost being held up by the 2 sort of petals down here at the bottom. And then you kind of get that everything's being supported, and then right at the core you've got that, it just feels really strong right at the core, but all around it are these beautiful sort of very delicate, like film kind of, you know, you almost feel like there'd be silk or something even finer than that, yet they're super strong. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. It just is, it makes me smile, makes me feel yeah, happy, but not in a kind of playful, joyful way, but very kind of I feel very strong. I feel there's a strength there for me.
Beautiful.
Something.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
To me, it feels like breathing, like I can hear someone breathing in this photo. And I just find it really interesting. Every time I focus on one part of the flower, I think is what it is, you can't see anything else. So when I look at the center, I can just see the kind of core bud, and then it kind of expands around you. And to me, that kind of feels like the movement feels like breathing. It feels very natural, soft, kind of like, yeah, just kind of natural, I think is like a word that I would use to respond to this.
Lovely. Thank you.
I feel like it's a spirit. It feel the middle is like glowing, and maybe I'm just reflecting on why maybe I feel the way I'm feeling, but I feel like the edges are older. So to me, it again, coming from my own mind, it feels like maybe it's an older, the outside is starting to look a little bit older, but the inside is just still so stately and glowing and strong spirit. This is absolutely beautiful, and I love how the artist put it directly in the middle too, which I feel like just really, really adds to the strength of the whole image.
Thank you. Fab. Leonie, did you have a response?
Yeah, for me, it's initially, for me, it looks like a flower, and it's for me also strength, but also growth. I feel the bulb or the white light thing in the middle is indestructible. It will always be there, surrounded by lightness and protection of the outer leaves. So it's for me, it's like a bud, which a growing bud, but it will never be going away. It will never be a whole flower.
Beautiful. Thank you. So we'll get Kevin on in a sec, but I'd just like to feedback how this made me feel. This made me stop in my tracks when I saw this image. It's so delicate and beautiful, and just reminds me of my own inner strength, and just, you know, there's a real slowing down and noticing more for this for me. This is a real reminder of kind of our essence of who we are. This reflects to me the need to stop and the need to remember and the need to focus on the inside, not the outside. So Kevin, thank you. I'd love you to come on and let us know how that felt listening to our responses. Great to meet you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin. Thank you, Catherine, for inviting me to share my images with all of you. And Simon, what a wonderful thing to talk about my image that way. Yeah? And I think everybody had it right in a lot of ways. It's a picture of a lotus. They call it Padma in the Indian language. It's called Padma. And lotuses are actually hard to grow uh, in your own home. They like it a bit rough. As delicate as they are, they like it rough. Symbolically, the lotus is a sacred plant for the Hindus, in the sense that they thrive. It's something that arises from the mud, and they can stay in stasis for many years. In fact, as during dry seasons, such like a bit of rain, a bit of mud, and out comes this thing. And it's amazing because from the seed itself, there's a little lotus plant in the seed. You split the seed of a lotus plant, you'll get a little lotus plant in it. It's a kind of a fractal. It's kind of a Fibonacci kind of a sequence within the thing itself. So spiritually, you see from Hindu tales and from Buddhism and from Zen itself, a lot of spirituality is attached to the lotus plant. In this particular instance, the flower itself, you spoke about it. It's strength. It is a symbol of strength. It's a symbol of growth. In terms of if you look at it from a Zen point of view, then you're looking at a state called Yugen. Yugen is something you feel when you look at clouds coming in and just covering the sun. Or you see a bright moon and you see clouds coming in, just covering the moon. That little the sensation of vanishing and reappearing. You know it's there, but you can't really fully see it. So this flower is or this rather this picture is representative of that. Glimpses, say for example around the corners that you're familiar with, but you can't see it yet. But you know that something is there. That kind of a feeling invokes that kind of feeling. So this particular image is supposed to do that as well.
Okay.
It's got I made it with a handphone actually. This was one of my earlier work. It was made with a handphone. I like to work with my handphone as well, just to because in my work I do a lot of teaching, and I use a lot of examples where handphones can be used. So that it's a leveler in that sense, everybody can make an image, and within their own pockets, people can have access to a tool that can create something that that has feeling. Mm.
Excellent, excellent. So Kevin, specifically, how did it feel to listen to what we were saying? What was
Amazing! Yeah, it's spot on actually, spot on. It's all about strength. It's about a tenacity. The plant itself, the padma, the Indian lotus, in itself is symbolic of triumph over adversity, in completeness, and absolutely. It's also a plant that's fully spiritual. Gods have been attached to it, and everything that we feel about about hope is attached to the plant itself, which you all express very very clearly, and it's nice to hear. It's fantastic actually. Thank you.
good, nice,
Yeah.
excellent. I'm really pleased. And I wondered if anyone else here would like to feedback on any of the images about how they made them feel. If anyone would like to jump on and give us their response, please feel free.
Yeah, Ahmed's structure picture was unusual in the sense, full of tilts, isn't it? The picture is full of tilted and angles, so it caused a huge amount of discomfort. When one sees a tilted building, it evokes discomfort. So it was meant to be that way. I think the Nazis were masters at building. The architect himself, I think, was said to have studied Greek architecture. I can't remember his name now. What's his name? The architect for Hitler. He studied ruins, and what when he built um, um, uh, structures for the right, so to speak, he constructed the building in such a way that when they collapse over time, they would leave a beautiful ruin behind. It was kind of a man, So in terms of creating very stilted, in fact, the tilted angle is called the Deutsch tilt, the Deutsch angle. And during the 1930s, the German expressionist movement had huge amounts of films that were tilted. And if you watch a lot of the older German expressionist films, you see a lot of tilted angles as well. It's supposed to cause a huge amount of discomfort, and in that sense, create a sense of comfort. But this was built against the Nazis, was it not, Ahmed? This was to prevent the Nazis from coming in. So when the Germans came in, they saw these tilted angles. They felt so uncomfortable approaching it that they thought, oh, better go somewhere else, So it did its job.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautifully made picture as well. And the first picture, very interesting. It reminds me of Bill Brand's work. Bill Brand, the English photographer who took really really close angles of body parts and such like, full of gestalt. So we didn't know what we were looking at, and the amount of projection that was put into that particular picture in the beginning was amazing. From oranges to overcoming cancer. It was fantastic to see the kind of projection on. Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah, altogether.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Kevin. I think we've got time for one more bit of feedback before we wrap up, if anyone else would like to say anything.
Did Kevin say that he took that with a cell phone?
Yeah.
Yes, I did, yeah. An old cell phone too. It was an old Samsung.
Well, it's so interesting because yesterday when Catherine and I had a conversation, and we were talking about, how, you know, looking at photographs and feeling like you had to look at them from a technical point of view as to what was correct and what wasn't correct. And, you know, how if they aren't correct, it's almost like especially if you're a photographer, you kind of look at that, oh, that's not a good photograph, you know? And it's sort of the same way I feel as when we first started taking pictures with our cell phones, and the photographers would be like, oh, you took that with your cell phone, you know? And now, I mean, people are creating, you know, huge films, amazing.
Yes.
And so it is, I mean, art is just so what we create with our minds and how we see them. It doesn't matter what our tool is.
Yes, I mean, nobody ever questions the chef or what pots they use to cook, you know. And here we are as photographers, always so critical. I mean, we never talk about, oh, what pencil are you using? What brush are you using to paint that? What knife are you using to palette the canvas?
Yeah.
Nobody cares, you know.
Brilliant. Thank you. Eve, you wanted to say something, and we'll finish up after Eve's feedback, if that's all right.
Thank you. It was just a comment on Ahmed's image of the bunker, because I come from Norfolk, where the North Norfolk coast is that dune landscape, and there are literally dozens of these bunkers all along the coast. So I'm very used to seeing them. But I realized when he was talking, as a photographer myself, I've only ever photographed them from the landward side, looking out to sea. And I've even gone inside them and taken photos through that gaping window out to sea. And I was really struck when he said he went round to the seaward side and looked back at them. I thought, why have I never done that? And that would be, it just made me covered in goosebumps to think about looking at it from the point of view of the people out at sea and trying to land. Very emotional. Thank you for that, Ahmed.
Amazing. Eve, you must go out and photograph from the seaside and show us. Please share your pictures. That'd be amazing to see. Thank you, everyone, very, very much. It's been a pleasure to spend the last hour with you all. And yeah, I will be doing another open call in a few months. So please look out for that, artist. It's a biggie. And I'm going to give you more time to submit, because it's quite an intense subject. So I look forward to sharing that with you, and please have a wonderful rest of your evening. Is there anything the panelists want to say just to wrap up? No is fine. I need wine. So
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, Catherine,
Thank
for
you so much.
organising. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I just
oh,
say
it's
something,
such a
Catherine?
pleasure. Such a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Can I just say something, Catherine?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, I think a lot of the panelists also mentioned about feeling things in the stomach. Nanette was saying that she felt things in the stomach. I think, and I think Samuel was talking about the breathing parts of the. He was looking at the picture. A lot of people were talking about the body, in terms of a kind of aesthetic feeling towards what they saw. Now, also let me say that, you know, if you're feeling through things to your stomach, we are looking at our axis mundi, our solar plexus is where it's the seat of our being. In terms of a lot of philosophical ideology about our being and our connection with the world in which we live in. It starts with the solar plexus. So if you're feeling things in your stomach, they call it a gut feeling, which it is. It's our solar plexus, and that's your axis mundi, the center of our world, the navel of our universe. And if you look at pictures and if you feel it there in your gut, and why not? I mean, this is where it all begins, you know. So thank you very much, Catherine. Beautiful sharing. And we hope to see more of this. Actually, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Kevin and Ahmed and everyone else. My lovely panelists. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.